today's Path of Light is not only a little piece from our conference to inspire you, but also a very important announcement. I'm sure you have all heard that the governor has asked the businesses to close again, which includes the Shala. So as of tomorrow, we are officially closing the Shala doors, and we'll be opening them whenever the governor gives us that approval to reopen. The timing could not have been more perfect as far as the teachings are concerned, because we just had our 15-year anniversary, and I was sharing with everyone my beautiful drawing of our 15 years represented by these infinity, these rings of color that represent each year we've been in business. And in sharing that with everyone, I said, you know, I colored the last one, year 14, orange because of the orange zone, because we've just been living in the unknown and changing because of our situation, and staying hopeful and allowing these changes to make us better as a community, to stay hopeful, to stay inspired. And then when I talked about moving into year 15, I'm like, I don't know what color I'm going to color that ring yet, because we just don't know. As much as I want to be able to say what it's going to look like, none of us really know what it's going to look like at this point. And I compared it to a tree. When we look at the trunk of a tree, we know how many years old the tree is based on how many rings there are. And when you look at the rings, you can judge the age of the tree and the experience of the years of the tree, but also what's happened to the tree. You can also see trauma sometimes in the tree, like if you can see in the rings if something had gotten into the tree, if there was a disease or a drought, or perhaps like a really big storm where it had lost some of the limbs. And so moving into this year and actually closing for the second time, I realized we are actually a little bit in a drought ourselves. We're in a storm, and this year will be an interesting time in the history of the Shala and the history of our practice to say, how did we color this year? How did we move forward with hope and inspiration? And as always, my feeling is to hold a space for all of you to continue to practice and feel healthy and inspired. So it's interesting, one of my students shared this quote that I had given the students just over 5 years ago when we moved from the first Shala to the middle Shala. And some of you might remember that it was a rocky road for us. And so I chose this quote from a movie, The Best Exotic Marigold Hotel, because it felt fitting for what we as a community, what I was going through at the time. But also the lady who shared it with me shared me the actual paper that I had given, as I do your quotes on, and how many times you could see how many times she'd open and close it and use those words to inspire her. And having shared with me some difficult times she had gone through in the past 5 years and how much these words meant to her, how appropriate it is for me to share this quote with you today. From The Best Exotic Marigold Hotel. The person who risks nothing has nothing. All I know about the future is that it will be different. But perhaps what we fear is that it will be the same. So we must celebrate changes. The Indians have a saying, everything will be all right in the end. So if everything is not all right, it is not yet the end. And at the bottom of that I wrote, thank you for celebrating the changes with me. And so as we sit here today, entering another chapter of closing our Shala, continuing to Zoom, of course, a full schedule, I want to ask all of you to continue to celebrate the changes with me and to be optimistic about our future together. Another part of the teaching from Sunday that you'll see if you click into to watch the entire teaching is that I said that I have this plant in the house I've had for a bit, like 3 years or so, that someone had given me when Richard passed. And it needed to be repotted. It needed a little bit of love, a little bit of change. So I moved it to my back door and put it outside just until I could figure out what pot to put it in. And I realized I didn't want to leave it there too long because there wasn't a lot of sun back in that area. So it's probably been 4 or 5 days, and on Saturday I walked back there and realized this plant that was kind of straight was now sideways, and it was reaching towards the back door. And what I realized it was reaching was that there was the carport and then the roof, and there was this little slice of sun in the afternoon between those two roofs. And the plant had been reaching for the sun. And I thought, what a beautiful message. What a beautiful message for myself I'll admit I was sad when I heard that we'd be closing again. But what a beautiful message that I shared yesterday that I can share with all of you today, and to remind myself during these challenging times of unknown that we reach for the sun. And so I want to let all of you know that I will continue to Zoom. We will continue to share the videos. Mom will continue to do the Sunday musings. And we're going to do everything we can to just keep the community strong and healthy and vibrant and inspired. If you have ideas or things you need, please share those with me. I'm so open right now into how I can best serve everyone, and how we can continue to have our Shala, to have our community. So please do share this with me. On a more business note, I want to say that those of you that are doing tuitions or 10 series or donations, if you have questions about that, please reach out to me. Of all the things we've been doing during this kind of different time, we have not been tracking the 10 series and looking towards the students to help us in that tracking. So if that's you, I'll reach out to some of you as well. Just let me know where you're at with that, and just know that the main thing is I want to keep all of us together, and all of you just supporting us in any way that you can, and I will continue to support you in all the wonderful ways that I can. So continue to reach for the light.